Since 1970, Australian house prices have gone up over 69 times on paper. But if you remove the effect on inflation, the real growth is only 4.5 times. Recently, I keep hearing that one question over and over again from anxious buyers. Will Melbourne house prices ever recover? With auction clearance rates sitting around the low 50s, people are genuinely panicking. But honestly, I think we are all asking the wrong question. The real question we should be asking is, recover for which property? Since 1970, Australian house prices have gone up around 69 times on paper. But after adjusting for inflation, one analysis suggests the real growth was closer to 4.5 times. Now, that doesn't mean Australian properties failed to create wealth. Quite the opposite. The same market created millionaires, while other buyers held properties for decades and barely beat inflation. The truth is, the market doesn't just automatically hand out wealth. It operates more like a selection machine. A rising market does not reward every property equally. It magnifies the gap between properties that become more valuable and properties that get left behind. To understand how this selection machine works, let's look at a more recent Melbourne example. Imagine two buyers who purchased the property around 20 to 30 years ago. One buyer chose Port Melbourne, the other chose Werribee. Back then, the price gap wasn't massive like it is today. In fact, 30 years ago, Port Melbourne had a pretty terrible reputation. It was full of factories and old warehouses. If you told your friends you were buying there, they'd probably ask why you wanted to live in a dodgy area. But whether they realized it or not, those buyers were investing in something you can't manufacture: location. Port Melbourne had a permanent unfair advantage, a bayside position just minutes from the CBD. The industrial past could disappear, the factories could be moved, and the reputation could change. But nobody could ever create another piece of coastline this close to the city. Whether it was sheer luck or calculated bet, those buyers owned an asset where time eventually worked in their favor. Now look at the other buyer who went to Werribee. They made a very logical decision at the time. They wanted a bigger, nicer house for their family at an affordable price point. And yes, Werribee's price went up over the years as Melbourne grew. But here is the brutal difference. In a tightly held inner ring suburb, there's very little new supply. But out in the growth corridors, developers can just keep clearing the next paddock. They can keep releasing new estates and building thousands of identical blocks further and further out. So while both buyers saw their properties go up on paper, the selection machine rewarded them completely differently. One asset benefited from scarcity, the other was competing with endless new supply. That's why it really doesn't make sense to obsess over short-term moves right now. Interest rates will move, headlines will change, sentiment will come and go. But long-term performance comes down to two things: future demand and future competition. First, ask yourself 10 years from now, why would someone choose this property? Because every property eventually depends on the next buyer. A location needs a reason for people to keep wanting it, whether that comes from jobs, schools, transport, views, or lifestyle. The second question is, what will this property be competing against in the future? Because property does not only compete with what exists today, it competes with what can be built tomorrow. A suburb may look limited in supply when you zoom in, but a wider view can reveal future developments and thousands of potential alternatives. So will Australian house price recover? History suggests that Australian property has a strong ability to recover over the long term. But the Australian property story has never been about prices always go up, and it has never been about the market is about to collapse forever. Property prices are constantly being pulled by different forces: interest rates, jobs, population growth, supply, government policy. Sometimes these forces push prices down quickly. We saw that when interest rates rose sharply. But over the long term, if demand continues to grow, supply remains constrained, and the financial system continues to support property ownership, new forces can push prices higher again. That's why the most important question is not, will Australian property go up or down? The better question is, which properties have the ability to survive different market cycles? And I think you already know the answer to that. If this video got you thinking or helped you look at market from a different angle, please like and subscribe. Your support is what keeps me going and helps me create more videos like this. This is April. Have a good one and I'll see you in the next one.